And we continue following new developments in the assassination attempt on former President Trump over the weekend. We now know the FBI has conducted nearly 100 interviews related to Saturday's shooting. We also know they now have access to Thomas Crooks's phone. He's the suspected gunman, and they're analyzing his electronic devices. ABC News has learned that the building where Crooks fired those shots from was the staging area for some local law enforcement. It's unclear why his presence up on the roof was missed.
Yeah, not missed apparently by some of the rally goers who saw him. That's just one of the questions still being asked tonight.
So joining us this evening is Bob Kinder. He's founder of the Kinder Group, a retired military officer and a former member of Governor Baker's security task force. Bob, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, so we're starting to get a fuller picture, but there are still plenty of questions. First off, the basic one, is it surprising to you? We've all been to events where the president is present. There's usually a wide kind of cordon of security. How could a building that's 400 feet away not be part of that security cordon?
It's unfathomable to me on why they didn't secure the high ground. It is security 101. Every second lieutenant, new candidate going through training knows to secure the high ground. And I keep hearing about the perimeter. And they're talking about the inner perimeter where the magnetometer's on in. But that's really screening for pistols, perhaps knives, blunt force objects. Sure, that's one perimeter. But on an open air event, you have to look beyond that for threats such as rifles, which this individual used, car bombs, even aircraft. And what they failed to do is once they cleared the building, which I'm sure they did beforehand, they did not secure it. They didn't station someone there to ensure that it maintained security.
And you'd think as the base of local law enforcement, it would have been secured. Also, people have been talking about the fact that there was a sniper team indicated they knew that was a potential threat in terms of an elevated risk, that there was someone in place. Now, President Biden has said there will be an investigation. I would imagine that's just one of the things they'll be looking at.
Absolutely. The one is why you didn't secure the high ground. The second issue, I think what you're getting at, is authorities. Did individual officers at the lowest level have the authority to engage an active threat if they deemed it a threat? And you have to be able to do that instead of asking for permission. And I don't know that that was the case. The FBI is going to find out, did that individual sniper team have to call higher to ask permission to engage the threat that they saw? Or were they authorized to just make a snap decision, which is the right thing to do, understanding the commander's intent? Secret Service has one job: protect the principal. They failed miserably.
Can I ask you, I've worked in Pennsylvania actually, and so I know there was probably a long tier of law enforcement agencies involved. We know there was the Secret Service, which is responsible for the safety of the event, but there was Pennsylvania State Police, there was probably local Butler Police, there were county sheriff's officers there, deputies there, and probably other towns' police helping out as well. Is it possible there was just a awful miscommunication here? Because I thought after 9/11 there was an effort made so that all law enforcement could talk to each other.
There is an effort, and that effort is before events happen. So what you would want, that first of all, the Secret Service has overall responsibility. Point.
The buck stops there.
It stops with Director Cheadle. She's responsible for ensuring the president or the principals are protected. Secret Service cannot secure everything, so they have to rely on local law enforcement. My guess is they did not conduct a full dress rehearsal because they were lacking time, where everybody was involved. They didn't conduct a rock drill, and communications are hampered in a situation like that because networks get shut down, batteries may die, on and on and on. So you have to spread your intent, commander's intent, down to the lowest level. Let them operate independently. That did not happen here.
All right, Bob Kinder, we really appreciate your insight.
Thanks.
There are so many questions still remaining here.
Thank you.